the only mayo hater in this room?
No.
Okay, you're with me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, it's
I
terrible.
think Naomi is too.
Okay, Naomi, you are.
Oh, yeah.
You are. So,
I thought you said male.
oh, mayo. No, not
Male
male
hater.
hater. Mayonnaise hater. We won't go into that kind of.
Self-loathing.
Have you ever
totally.
been slipped? Have you ever been slipped mayo before and didn't know it was there? And like you got through the whole thing, you're like, "That's really good." And then somebody was like, "Yeah, there was mayo in there."
It's happening. People will try to slide it in. Usually, I can tell if that's what's going on.
I mean, so under normal sandwich eating conditions where it's not glopping out the sides, you don't like the flavor, or is it the thought of the mayo that bugs you the most?
It's both. It seems like it's rotting milk to me. Like that's what goes on in my mind. So that's how I kind of think of it, and so then I don't.
But it's not.
I can't eat it.
That's cheese.
No,
cheese is rotting
fine,
milk.
Though. Cheese is solid, so I can eat that. So there's a whole math.
You got this
system
all
here.
backwards.
It all works out. It all works out in my head.
I think it's the texture that's bugging you.
Well, the texture is definitely part of it too. That all works in. I can
It's
write
the
my
same
whole
texture
theory.
as pudding,
I'll get my
though,
whole
like-
theory
I
written
love
out,
pudding.
Who doesn't
and then
love
maybe
pudding?
science and technology.
Do you hate pudding as well?
No, pudding's all right. Pudding's okay. It falls into the okay category. Mayonnaise, sour
same
cream
texture.
on the absolute no side of it. So it's a complicated
I'm not gonna
algorithm.
go down this route.
It's
a complicated algorithm.
We'll get this all figured out. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Stretch with Benefits, where we do not talk about food, but we just started off with that. This is our weekly tech podcast where we gather a roundtable of experts here from digital trends and talk about the tech topics of the day. And we've got a bunch of really good things to talk about today. So we're going to be live on YouTube and Facebook, and we want you to be part of the conversation. Let us know your thoughts, what you're thinking with this. I can see people jumping in here right now and discussing this, because I know one of the questions that we had is probably the first topic that we're going to get to here, and it's about if you would take a pilotless drone, taxi. A pilotless drone taxi. That is the question. Would you actually take one of those? So we're going to get to that. I just thought about mayonnaise there for a second. That's where that problem was coming from. So we'll get to that and a bunch of different topics. But let's introduce our roundtable. I'm Greg Nibbler, and to my right,
Drew Prindle.
Drew Prindle.
Naomi Vo.
Hello.
Caleb Dennison.
Caleb Dennison.
I'm going to derail this thing at every
Stunt
turn.
mayonnaise
All right.
supporter and absolutely going to derail the podcast.
You know, I used
which
to
is
hate
the only way
it.
this goes.
I used to hate it. Now I'm like, I'm in support of it in moderation. Everything in moderation.
You're in moderation. So you've switched over. How does someone...
Little mayo, little
no,
meth,
we can't
whatever.
get into this
Just
too
don't do
much,
too
but-
much.
Mayo
Okay.
talk.
Just in a little bit. All right. That is a whole separate podcast that we'll be doing. Let's talk about, though, this first topic out the gate. And we've had this question up for a little while. And it is something that is actually going to be happening in Dubai, is where it's going to be first going on, Dubai. And it is from a company called eHang, a Chinese firm that has developed a pilotless drone taxi that you will be able to take this summer. It's called the 184, and it looks pretty terrifying. It's called 184 because it carries one passenger, has 8 propellers and 4 arms, and 0 pilots. There is no pilot in this thing. When it shows up, you get in. It's got, according to at least their video that they show, it's got a touchpad where you can actually press the button and pick out where you want to go. And since this thing's going to be coming out now in Dubai, which is what they just announced, the thing has been around. You hate me.
I'm sorry. No, it's the model they've
Oh,
got
the model
in the
that they're
video.
showing.
It's just like,
Yeah. Oh, no. The model that they show on this video, it makes it look really sketchy. And this is something they've been talking about for a couple of years. And now it's finally getting implemented. So that's kind of the new update to it. Miguel's saying old news I saw on Facebook. It's been around for a while, but now they just announced it is going to be used. And so the question I have is, would you be willing to take this? A couple of notes on it. It's got a 30-minute battery. That's it.
What?
Which does not seem like enough for me to have a 30-minute battery with this thing. Because what happens if, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a 10-minute flight that they're having people take. But 30 minutes does not seem like a safe amount of battery to have in there.
Oh, no.
But it is pretty cool. It just shows up wherever, I guess specified spots. I'm sure it's going to be where they have a landing spot for it. But you just hop in it, press where you want to go, and away it takes you. So let's talk about this. And I'm seeing people talking here right now on chat. A lot of people are saying yes. Yes, they would take that. Indika says, yes, I am taking it. Mike says, no, thank you. Robots are stealing our jobs. And Sam just says, Drew Prindle. That's all. So
Get a job, Sam.
that's just the answer to that. All right, so let's go around. Drew, would you take this?
Not now. Absolutely not. This is not something that you want to be an early adopter at.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need, like, sure, you might look cool to your friends, but you also might, like, die.
So you don't think? I mean, I would
50-50
imagine they've
chance.
worked out, a lot of safety issues on it.
Yeah, probably. So the first time that I saw this thing, I actually saw it when it was unveiled at CES 2016, I think.
Yeah, when they were
And
first showing
when
it.
they first unveiled it, and even back then they had a little bit of footage of this thing, hovering, but they were like, okay, it's definitely not ready for like real use in the real world. But seems like it's come quite a long way since then. I mean, as you can see from the video, they seem to have figured out, how to hover it and take it places in 30 minutes of battery. I don't know. You could probably get to where you're going with that. I don't trust it. It doesn't have
not
like an
gonna work.
airbag system. Like, what happens if anything goes
true.
wrong?
Yeah, well,
There's
that's
not
the
even
thing,
like.
too.
Have you seen those propellers? They're huge. If one of them like breaks off or something, it's going straight through that little pod. It'll just rip you to pieces.
Well,
You're
and the
right next to those things, man.
Yeah,
It's-
you were right next to the propellers, and that's true. Like when you're even getting in it, they're showing this guy hopping in. I mean, and he's got inches on either side of just chopping your legs off with these propellers right next to you. That doesn't seem like a good safety feature on it. That seems a little sketchy. I don't know, Caleb. What do you think?
I ain't scared.
Yeah, you gonna
I
do it?
Yeah,
You're gonna
I
do
totally.
it?
No, if there was like some kind of a press junket or something like that, and they're like, "All right, who wants to take a ride?" I'd totally go do it.
Okay.
I would do it.
I would do it too, but only if they just did like a little bit of a hover. I'm not gonna take this thing to like the dentist like 5 miles away, dude. Hell no.
Well, no, let's not start talking about practicality all of a sudden because then we'll get the Caleb hates everything.
Okay,
recipe
yeah.
We'll
on
get
this.
there.
I'm just saying, like, first of all, of course, Dubai. Of course, Dubai.
Yeah.
Second, I think that it's a means to an end. This is a stepping stone type of deal. So eventually, these personal drones, perhaps, I mean, this is better than roadways. I don't know. Maybe it's better than autonomous vehicles. But yeah, with, a 30-minute flight time, you're not really getting anywhere but, like,
Well, it's just a
the
30-minute
dentist.
battery.
I'm just going to
That's
go get
it.
my cleaning real quick and then come back.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is for the super rich. It's like a visionary thing. It's exciting to think about flying into the future the way they said.
Right.
And, I think, honestly, half the reason they're doing it is so they could hide Gerald the monitor or the model in there, pack Gerald in there. I think his name is Gerald, and
looked
and
like
have
a
him
Gerald.
look super sexy, loading his briefcase into that tiny little side compartment.
Yeah.
and flying off in an. And also, the name is dumb. Can we just agree? What are the numbers?
184.
for
It's
again?
the 184. It's called the
One
184.
occupant, eight blades,
propellers.
Yeah,
4 arms.
What would you call it, Caleb?
Not 184.
Okay.
I'd start there. That's
Number
where I
one.
would start. Here's
And
the
we've
thing
gotten
we're
into
not
Caleb
going to
hates
call
everything.
it.
Right
There
now.
we go.
Well, we got some comments coming in here on the chat. I'm taking a look. Somebody asked, is it electric or gas fueled? It's powered by a battery, so it's a 30-minute battery. That is all the battery has in it. So definitely scary. So let's see here. Take a shin off. Yeah, it does look like it's going to take a shin off when you go on there. The Jetsons' age is almost here.
Do
says Miguel.
bolts not work anymore? We have helicopters flying all over the place.
Yeah.
And where are the big stories about those rotors just flying off and killing people?
Well, I think it's just the
'Cause
fact that
they
you
don't.
can walk right into it because the
They're
rotors
at
are,
ground level.
see.
Like
are
it-
shin
I
level.
see what you're saying. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah, so I don't know. All right, Naomi, would you take it?
Honestly, I'm like split 50-50, but I'm kind of claustrophobic. So that would.
It is a
that-
tight fit. It's only one person that can get in this.
Yeah.
There's more room in there than on a frickin' Delta flight to New York. You know what I'm saying?
right, that's true.
You've got some elbow room, and
He had
you can
room for
actually
his
stretch your
briefcase.
legs out a
True.
little bit. I could put cocktails on both sides of me in that thing. I'm okay with it.
So you just take some cocktails. Yeah, that's not
I
bad.
think
wonder if
that's how you get through that flight.
That's how you do it. Yeah. Just
You've got a Gibson on one side and a gimlet on the
Robot,
other.
make
and
me a
you-
martini.
And you arrive feeling
Martini.
really good.
So, and somebody asked, can you take control of it?
No.
No.
The answer is no. So the idea behind this thing is that it is 100% autonomous, and the reason for that is that you're going to be able to get into it and it'll fly, and you don't have to have a pilot's license. If it was a manned aircraft, you would have to have a pilot's license in order to operate it. But by being 100% autonomous, they skirted that law.
So the thing is, though, if you don't have any way to take control, what if, because I'm sure it just runs on GPS, like you put in the coordinates and that's where it goes and that's it. And you can't probably mess with it and just say, oh, no, I want to go to the store instead.
It's like Uber in the sky.
Yeah. And now what happens, though, if the landing zone, like
With
you show up
diamonds.
and it's on fire or something like that? Is it just going to lower down into it?
Probably.
Because this is where we're going right now. And just watch yourself descend into it.
Well, that's when Dubai's like jetpack firemen come in. Because Because they have those. That's a real thing.
They do have jetpack
They
firemen?
have
Yeah.
fire. Yeah, they've spent like
Have you
some
seen the
crazy
video?
amount
I
of
have
money
not seen
for
this video. Okay, I will have to.
Just
now I'm
take like
sidetracked. I want to
an
find out
entire day to look up
I think
all
the
the
worst
crazy
case
stuff
scenario
Dubai's
is that you end up descending into some middle of the desert ski resort and maybe a slide around a little bit. That's probably as bad as it's going to get out
That's
there.
the thing.
You know what I mean?
All right, well, it's definitely 50-50 in the chat on whether or not you would take it. Jacob says, hell no. Tom says, does it come with a parachute? I don't know.
Yes,
Good
but if you
question.
jump out of it, your knees get chopped off.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
probably
Yeah,
don't
so you're
take
not
it.
really
Oh,
thinking to do you any good.
Dead
be in a
or no
wheelchair.
legs.
Yeah.
It's just a flying death trap. That's what this thing is. That's all you're going to be taking. But you'll look cool while you're doing it. That's I think where it comes down. So again, this is from a company called Eyang. It's going to be flying in Dubai this summer is when it starts. And then of course they've got plans to expand it. They say to other cities, which of course is what they're going to say. But Nevada, there is this. Nevada is going to allow them to start doing some test flights down there to possibly start up an air taxi service, which I could see in Vegas. Take a taxi from the airport and lands, at Caesar's Palace or something like that. I could see Vegas actually going for something like this.
You don't need to put like a bunch of helipads everywhere for that kind of thing. They don't have to be huge, but
Well,
they're
I mean,
definitely
they
gonna
got
have
the tops of the
They
buildings.
have them everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, actual rich people get to do that all the time, so I suppose this would be something for them that they would use. But anyway, that's where it's at right now. So that's the E-Hang. We've got some other topics we're going to get to, so stick with us here if you're on Facebook and YouTube. Next thing to get to is Amazon. Speaking of kind of drones, we know Amazon really, really, really wants to do drone deliveries. That is like their one huge thing that no matter what, they are pushing forward with this. And they've done some testing in England, I think it was, where they had some actual drone deliveries. Like one guy could get it, and that was it because of some regulations. Well, now, one of the big problems they've been trying to figure out is how to deliver the packages. Do you just follow a drone to a house, and then obviously you can just walk up and maybe take it from the drone? Or how do they actually get the package there? And they've just taken out a patent to use parachutes now as a possible way of delivering the package. So the drone would hover over a house or delivery spot. It would drop the package out in a parachute. Then the drone would monitor it, and this parachute, they'd be able to control it and be able to kind of dodge it around obstacles as it gets down to the house, and then that is how it's delivered. That's a pretty complex way to solve. At this point, to me, how is this really going to be more efficient than just having a delivery guy? Or having it at a spot that you already go to.
When was drone delivering the package, when was this a problem? Like all these other videos we've seen, it's in clamps, it lands on the X, it releases the clamps and flies away.
Yeah.
Why
doesn't
the
that work? I was
parachutes?
just thinking that same thing. Like, does it need to keep flying?
I think they just want to make it seem cooler. Like,
Yeah.
keep us interested. Yeah, it's going to fly your stuff in on a parachute, then it's going to paratroop down, you know? And then you got your toothpaste. Yeah, Crest by way of Amazon drone parachute.
Yeah, I mean this is what they're taking out a patent on, trying to figure that part of it out. So I don't know. It seems like it just seems way too complex.
I think it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do that. I don't know. I feel like there's nothing wrong with the delivery services right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't come on drones, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. Just because drones.
I'm not in the future.
Yeah.
Mailman, just regular dude. He's not even a robot.
Right?
Come on.
I mean, to be fair, we would eliminate a lot of fossil fuels, you know. We could eliminate a lot of jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
definitely
here
All
we
kinds of
go.
things that we could eliminate with humans. Well, you have to pay people, but you don't have to pay a drone. You just have to buy it once and then feed it electricity, and then it does your bidding for however long you need it to do
Right.
it for. But I know it seems like, again, a solution without a problem. I don't really think we have the urgent need. Again, let's look at what you buy from Amazon. Like, I don't want my $1,000 AV receiver delivered by a freaking drone,
Parachute.
right?
That's a good
So
point.
what are you going to deliver with a drone? Like maybe a pizza, maybe like toothpaste or whatever, you know, the
Right.
toilet paper. Better hurry up and get that down there. you
But I
know?
mean, it's showing everybody in your neighborhood that you are getting a package right then. That there's a parachute coming down.
And you know, I got to tell you right now, if I see one of those things in my neighborhood, I'm going to go hijack that package. That parachute gives me like all kinds of time to get over there, jump
Right.
up in the air, grab it, and run before it even hits the
You've
ground.
been thinking about this.
Well, I think about this stuff all the time.
Well, that is what they're taking over right now to see if they can use this technology. Maybe. It's a patent. They take out patents on a lot of things, but they are definitely pushing forward with the drone thing. He's not going to give this up.
I feel like Amazon is like Google and so many, and Apple, everybody else. They're just like, that's an idea, and we want to own it. Let's patent it
Let's
real
just
quick.
do it before
just
anybody
to make
else can.
sure that if somebody
Right.
else ends up using this very generalized idea of delivering a thing with a parachute,
Yeah.
that we get paid for it.
And that's probably how
Maybe
it
that's
is.
what this is all about. I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, we'll have to find out. We'll see what goes forward with this. Every month they've got something new though with Amazon drones, so we will be seeing these. Quick side note on drones before we get to another rich person with their plans. I do want to say this, and we talked about this a couple of months ago, where I think it was in Sweden they were training eagles to take down drones.
Yeah.
Over events. Now France is doing it as well. They've got golden eagles that they're going to be deploying at big events.
Damn right, it's not a bald eagle.
That's
America's mascot, France. You better back off.
So they're sending out the golden eagles that will be over events. They're trained to take down drones if they fly over the event.
That's what
There's
he's
a
saying
picture.
right now. I got the drone.
They've
I know that's not an eagle call, but
caw.
You tried.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm
it's a
Close
sorry.
much
enough.
more funny voiceover.
They're trained to do that when they snatch one, just so they make a big point of it. So they're going to be flying near military air bases and could potentially be used to protect airspace over restricted areas such as airports and prisons. So you'll see prisons. I guess because people will send in packages into the prison.
yeah.
Drone drop something in there.
Narcotics, Nutter Butters.
Nutter Butters. That's a big seller in prison.
I don't know how I feel about this though, man. These eagles are taking our jobs.
Yep. I think that's
It's not even robots anymore. It's eagles
It's
too.
the eagles that are doing
Animals.
it.
I just need one dude with a .22 rifle, and that's
Just
job
Jimmy.
done.
Exactly. Send out Jimmy to the event. He'll take care of it.
I mean, doesn't this seem like a uniquely America idea? To get an eagle to take down a drone. Why is it that Sweden and France are so far ahead of us?
Well,
on
because
this
we
right
do
now?
it with guns.
You
That's
know
why.
why? Because we need to make this. We need to make this country great again, and that's what it's going to take: is training eagles to take down drones.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have gone.
Bring the eagles back to America. That's what we need to do. All right.
We're outsourcing all our eagles right now.
Plenty of eagles right here at home that should be put to work. All right, so that's what France is doing anyway with the drone thing. Moving on to something else that we do have an update on, and it's with Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is that crazy rich genius that basically you would see in pretty much any movie from the 80s, like the just like eccentric multi-billionaire, like, I want it, I'm going to build it now, I've got a private island. This is something, though, that he posted about a couple of months ago, where he was stuck in traffic in LA, and he posted, "Traffic is driving me nuts," on Twitter. "Am going to build a tunnel boring machine and just start digging." And a couple hours later, he posted again saying, "No, I'm really going to do it." And he is doing it. He has he started a company called the Boring Company. He bought a boring machine.
Don't do it.
It's just so easy. It's just
too-
so easy
it's
to go
too
for.
It's the low hanging fruit. Just
Exactly.
It's low-hanging fruit. And his whole idea, ostensibly, is that they would build tunnels or dig tunnels underneath LA to help alleviate traffic, and maybe put parking in there. He bought this giant machine, a 400-foot-long boring machine, and nicknamed Nanny for some reason. I have no idea why that is. And he started test digging tunnels in the parking lot of SpaceX, because I guess that's the only place he could do it. So this guy just like, let's get rid of parking over here in Lot C, and we're just going to dig a tunnel down there. And I guess he's dug a 50-foot wide one, about 15 feet deep so far, as he's testing this. And I think if he goes any more, he's going to have to start getting some permits. But that's probably
I
what
trust
the
that
limit
he
is.
has like structural engineers kind of looking out for, whether this is going to create a sinkhole as thousands and thousands of pounds of traffic cross over these areas like at every second constantly in LA. I really hope he's looking out for that. Otherwise, like some SpaceX employee is going to be coming into his job thinking, "Man, I hope we land that rocket today." And the next thing you know, he's going to be at the bottom of a 50-foot deep sinkhole in his car getting crushed by asphalt.
Yeah.
I really hope that doesn't happen.
Well, and also he's worried about traffic, but he just took away like 50 parking spots from his company right there. So that's
He
not
can build
good.
more.
He can build more. But
Can we talk about the practicality of this, though, just
Sure.
for a second? I
Yeah.
mean, who here thinks that is a practical idea? Like, right now, it's a little bit too expensive to get the Hyperloop up and running, like, super quick, right?
Right.
If we're looking for immediate alleviation of traffic problems, like, is just digging tunnels a great idea? I mean, we've been digging tunnels for a long time, and they work pretty well. What's he actually doing here? Just speeding up the tunnel, digging
From
process?
what I understand, he was talking about like we need more roads, but we don't have like space to put more roads everywhere. Obviously, that would clog things up. So let's build like a stack of tunnels, not just one underneath the roads, but like a whole row of them or a whole column of tunnels so that you can go on different levels or whatever. And we have this whole subterranean transportation network.
Yeah, he
that
suggested as many as 30 levels for cars and high-speed trains.
Yeah.
That's a
That's go down
Wow.
pretty deep.
How low do you go, and then magma is just like
I
piping
It's
up.
probably a few miles, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's what he is suggesting, though, as part of this. I mean, I guess in theory, that is a way that maybe you could alleviate some traffic if you were able to get 30 levels of tunnels dug
I'm just
underneath
saying,
the
it
city.
seems like an obvious idea. And we do build tunnels now. So what is he
Yeah.
doing that others haven't? How is he making this plausible?
He's
with-
Elon Musk.
I think it's because he has the money to do it. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense for cities and, like small state governments to dump so much money into like tunnel boring machines and these big projects because, I don't know, I don't think taxpayer money
It's
can
just so
handle that really.
unconventional,
But
maybe.
Right.
Elon Musk could do it. The interesting thing is, I think, like, who's going to be able to use these? If he builds the tunnels, doesn't he own them, or can he control who uses
Oh,
them?
that's a really good
Yeah.
question. Well, I mean, yeah, who owns that space? Because
I don't know. Yeah.
the Department of Transportation, I imagine they own some stuff. That's a really good question.
A private
who
series
owns
of
the
tunnels?
roads, and do they own the space below them?
I mean, I'm sure you would have to, like, compensate for the costs. You'd probably be like toll based or something
it'd
like that.
have
They
to
already
be,
do
yeah.
that. They already do that in California, and I imagine upkeep of tunnels is way harder than upkeep of roads because
Yeah.
they're under thousands of pounds of stuff, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be bringing in a fair amount of money in order to pay for all the engineers and all the people that keep it running and not collapsing on people.
But wouldn't it feel great to go down in that tunnel and just cruise at 85 miles per hour
Totally.
and beat everybody to where they're going by a good hour and a half or two? Oh man, I see why he wants to do
now,
this.
are you pro tunnel now? Is that where you're going?
As long as it doesn't cause problems. I
Yeah.
think the ramifications of this have to be explored, and it needs to be practical. But I mean, the idea in general, I'm like, yeah, go for it.
I just love the idea that Elon Musk can post something he put on Twitter, probably just randomly in the car, and then was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll go buy a
Yeah.
machine right now. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's the life I want to live.
Yeah, that he can just do this." Archcard says flying taxi sounds better than that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But either way, Elon Musk is building a tunnel in his parking lot currently, right now. That's what's happening. All right, let's move on to something else. This is a topic, I've seen this story all over the place, and it's using technology to help solve food problems, but this is, it's so disturbing to me that I didn't want to talk about it. Drew wanted to bring this one up, though, and it is a pretty ingenuitive thing that they've got going here, but it's using technology to create lab-grown meat. We're just switching gears here to this. Drew, can you explain what it is they've got going on here?
All right, so this particular news story that brought this topic to the podcast this week is they've figured out a way to make lab-grown pork out of stem cells, or at least kind of move toward that. I don't know if they've produced a pork chop yet or bacon or anything, but they're starting to figure it out. They're working on it, which is interesting because up until now, they've only really tried to make lab-grown beef. There was a story a couple years back about how they actually made one and it cost $300,000 and somebody ate it and they're like, oh, it was gross. It was stupid. But, people are still working on this because the idea is, we've got a lot of people in this world, a lot of mouths to feed, and raising livestock and everybody eating meat is not a sustainable option for that.
Sure.
We just can't do it. We can't scale it fast enough or big enough. So if we could make lab-grown meat and not rely on animal agriculture, we could still eat all the burgers we want, but not destroy the environment and not, do all of that.
I want to know if we have any vegan or vegetarian people joining us for this podcast that have an opinion on this, because you'd think it's okay, well, we stopped killing pigs, these are animals that are arguably more intelligent than canines, but we kill them and eat them while we don't kill our dogs and eat them.
Are you proposing killing dogs and eating them?
No. The people already do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's true.
But I'm just saying, okay, fine. We stop killing the actual animals.
Mm-hmm.
We quit breeding them. Calm everything down in the pig breeding zone, and we have lab-grown pork, and it's an acceptable substitute. It may not be as good as the real deal. Maybe the market value of real pork goes way up. And it's an elitist thing. I don't know. Anyway, how do you feel about that though? The idea of eating a meat, because
Right.
how close is this to the actual fibrous tissue, living cells, blood, all that other stuff to it's basically just the meat without the brain attached to it,
I
right?
mean, I think
Well,
it's
and real
not-
quick, just to put this out there to Facebook and YouTube, let us know, would you eat this? Like, yes or no? Is this something you would actually
I mean, that looked pretty good. Was that just a mock-up, or was that,
that was
the
just
actual?
that was just a stock photo. That is
Yeah,
not the,
that's not it.
the lab-grown stuff.
Because I'm fixing to go roast a rack of ribs right now.
So just a few years ago, they weren't even talking about lab-grown meat and making this, and now they're actual like tangible lab-grown, like they're making it in petri dishes. So it's not unreasonable to think that in a few more years we will have legitimate lab-grown pork. That is, I mean, it might be a little bit more expensive, but it's not unreasonable to think that it will be indistinguishable from the real thing. And to answer your question of whether or not vegans, vegetarians would be down with that, I think it comes down to the reason why. If you are not eating meat because of environmental or animal rights concerns, sure, dig in. I'm sure you'd have no problem eating meat. But if you're not eating meat for dietary reasons, this probably isn't going to be any better for you.
Yeah.
Just because it's like mostly the same thing. It's the same kind of cells. It's actually made from animal cells that were just grown in a cultured dish in a lab.
So the same nutrients and everything.
Yeah, I mean, not now, obviously, because
Yeah.
we're
But-
not quite there yet. But in the future,
Right.
that's
It's
an
the
extremely
but-
possible
but
thing.
there's the origin story here. It came from an animal. We
Yeah.
basically twisted and bastardized nature to our own benefit. Does that bother people?
Haven't we been doing that for
Oh yeah.
years and
Yeah.
years?
Oh
Mountain
yeah.
Dew is not a terribly natural thing. But not even that. Like we've been modifying food for centuries, man. The ruby red grapefruit doesn't. I mean, that didn't exist
Yeah.
in nature. That was something we
But,
made by
yeah,
basically
but, I mean,
blasting it with
I'm
radiation.
saying
and
there's a lot of people out there who are against that stuff. The
Yeah.
the GMO,
Oh, yeah.
anti-GMO.
I think the ethics are going to come into this for some people. Like,
Yeah.
just ethically, they're
That's
not
what I'm
gonna wanna
saying.
do
I
this.
think that we should be prepared for people to object just on the fundamental principle of taking a living. I mean, people are against cloning. They're
Right.
really against stem cell harvest in the first place, especially where humans are concerned.
Okay,
now
that's-
we're making meat. So
See, I think for me, it's just like mayonnaise. Like if you slip it in and I don't know it's modified, then I'm going to eat it, and I'm not going to complain about it. But if I know, I don't know if I can do it. I'm going to have a hard time with it. Yeah, that's where it's at. All right. Well, anyway.
you might have mayo if I put it on a pulled pork sandwich with coleslaw, though.
See, I'm anti-coleslaw too.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
sorry,
You're
there's
not
a
my
list.
friend anymore.
I'll put together a detailed list so we can all know exactly what we've got. All right. Jacob said, yes, we love everything from a lab. So Jacob is all down for eating these pork chops. So just to make note of that. All right. Our final thing here today that we've got, and this is something, I pulled this for me because I think it directly applies to me. And it's something that they're doing in the Netherlands right now. And they're doing this all over the world in different locations, different cities especially, to help stop people who are walking and texting and hurting themselves and getting into accidents. I am that person. I walk and I text and I don't pay attention to what's around me, and I know it's a problem and I know I deserve whatever happens. But now in the Netherlands, they have come up with a solution of putting the traffic lights on the ground so that when people are walking, looking at the ground, you get a bright green line or a bright red line telling you don't walk here. I mean, really, it's Darwin's theory in action. I mean,
yeah.
if you walk out, and I know that, but I'm not gonna lie, I would appreciate these being around. It would help me. It's a problem, and that would definitely be a solution. I could see using it. I don't know. Do you think this is too far?
I think it's a better idea
Yeah.
than sending a strain of venereal disease into space to see how it reacts. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know
Like,
how
as
we
long
got
as-
there.
No, I mean, what are we talking about?
It only
It's like
took 57 or 27
weeks
minutes to get into that.
2 weeks ago, we're talking about some virus or
Okay,
disease going up.
we were
into
talking
space
about
just to
MRSA
see how
virus.
it-
That's
yeah,
what-
okay, whatever. MRSA, gonorrhea, whatever. Look, you're sending nasty stuff into
choking now.
space to study how it's gonna react. I'm like, let's save a few lives and put some red lights in the ground. All right, you know what I mean?
Seems pretty reasonable.
I don't.
Well, when
care.
you put it in that perspective, yeah, it does seem like a
I
pretty
don't
reasonable
freaking care.
response.
Look at the big picture of what's going on in our world of technology. We are spending so much money on the most ridiculous crap. If this saves a few lives, go for it. Fine. I don't care. Yes,
Okay.
people are stupid, yourself included, both for not liking mayonnaise and for walking around while texting and bumping into things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
let's have some compassion for humanity and
All right.
sure. That's my stance. I'm done.
Okay. All right. Caleb's made his point. Still know how venereal disease works in that. But anyway, let's. All right. So, what do you guys think? Are you pro this?
I think it's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it. I mean,
All right. Or is it just let idiots walk out in the
It's
traffic
silly,
and
but I
problem
think
will
it's
solve itself?
necessary.
Yeah, who hasn't, text and walked for like a few seconds? I don't do it a lot,
Right.
But I'm definitely guilty of it to some degree.
I
I don't walk
I'm
into
to the
I'm
point
not
where
crossing streets while I'm looking
Yeah.
down though, so I don't know.
I might be doing that.
It's
But
like-
you know what?
the
I like
question
to
is-
do. I like to look at people while I'm doing this to let them know I see you, and I'm not.
As you're
completely-
texting, you
Oh
make
yeah,
eye contact
I'm
with
not
them?
completely oblivious
passive
right now.
texter.
Yeah.
I see you,
Text
and I
message.
recognize you, and I'm moving out of your way now.
Okay, all right. So just make direct eye contact at all times with anybody.
Unbroken, unblinking
Yeah.
eye contact.
There's a gentlemanly way of doing this, and
Right.
there's the asshole way, and I just prefer the former.
Okay, all right. Well, there it is. Well, anyway, in the Netherlands now, in certain cities, you will have something to help you not walk out into the street and get hit by a car. Like
Or
me.
more likely a bike in the Netherlands.
Exactly.
Or a
I was
bike.
just
Yeah,
gonna say,
that's
where's the help for the texting
Okay,
bikers?
biking and texting I do
There
not
we go.
do. I do see that a lot around Portland. That just seems insane to me. But yeah. So
That's a
that's
that's a
reckless,
very
man.
that's too far
That's a
for me.
Portland thing.
That's
too.
a Portland thing.
That's a Portlandia episode all to itself.
Oh, it is. All right. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today. So again, this is Trends with Benefits, and we do this show live every Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific here at Digital Trends headquarters. And we love it for people to join in on Facebook and YouTube, but we also have the audio version. So we have a podcast that's out. You can subscribe to that. You can get all the back episodes. We've got the videos of the back episodes at digitaltrends.com. Everything we've talked about today, there are articles at the website relating to everything that we've just discussed and tons more. So please go there, take a look at it, subscribe to the podcast. Join if you like mayonnaise. You're some kind of a weirdo, but I'm just going to leave that at that. And I think that's about it for today. I had to get the last word in. And send us an email, podcast at digitaltrends.com. Thanks so much for watching. Back next week with another episode.
You don't get invited to a lot of barbecues, do you?
Yeah, how do you